What it do, ladies and gentlemen? Welcome back to the long-awaited next episode on the Terror Dome. From the last episode we did on the pros and cons of child support, it sparked a big debate, man. And these next couple shows are going to be stemming from the last episode on child support. We're going to have a couple guys come on and talk about their experience with child support. And on the flip side, we're going to have some women come on and give their aspect of child support. So, as you can see, my normal co-host is not here, but we got a child support veteran right here, T. Williams. Let's get it in. Welcome, T. Williams. Thanks for coming on the show.
Thank you for having me.
Just introduce yourself to the people.
T. Williams, we work together. I got two girls, they 27 and 19. I also have a stepson. Basically, 49 years old, my kids grown. I've been through that child support battle back and forth, but with me, I basically encouraged the child support because I was one of them dads that you could call every 2 weeks or every week. You know, your daughter need this, your daughter need that. And so with me, I never had a problem with paying child support, but I just didn't like the games that came with paying child support. Me, myself, I could shop for my daughters. Like, I could go out and buy their clothes and make sure they had what they need. I didn't need, per se, a woman's perspective on how to dress my daughter. So with that being said, my oldest daughter's case was closed. So later on, when she was about 14, 15, my oldest daughter's mom decided she needed more financial.
Hold that thought real quick. Let me ask you a quick question. For those who don't know, because I didn't have to pay child support, tell us how the process starts from child support. From like, I guess you gotta go to court to that first deduction. What is that process like?
So what the young lady does, she files basically a child support case against the father. Then the courts set a date for, the child support office set a date for y'all to come and have basically a meeting between the two parents to see if they can work it out inside the child support office. And if the father decides that that's too much, then he can, basically take it to court in front of a judge, and the judge will decide at that point if that's a feasible amount for you to pay, based on not your base salary, but your potential earnings.
Okay.
So if, for us, we in the correctional field, so our potential earnings is ridiculous.
Yeah.
It's ridiculous. So any guy that's in law enforcement, basically, his earning potential is 6 figures easy with overtime. So that's how they look at it now. And health insurance is definitely a big key as well. So one guy who worked for child support always told me, make sure you always put your children on your health insurance. That will automatically cut down your expense as far as paying child support.
Health insurance is expensive.
They factor all that in, daycare, health insurance. If the mother's paying the health insurance, you would be smart to just to add your child, and then your health insurance become a supplement health insurance just in case something's not covered on hers. So once they do that process, and you basically, you can always appeal. In any court proceeding, you can always appeal any judgment against you. So once she files, say for instance, she filed September 9th, 2022, and your court date is December 16th, today. If the judge so be it, that's why they always warn you to bring money to court with you. Because if the judge say, well, we're going to backdate this child support order to the date she filed, then you're automatically in the rears. So what happens is, that's why some people say bring at least $1,000, $1,500 with you, because based on, if you already know she wants $700 a month in child support, $350 every 2 weeks. About from September
to the actual court date.
It's almost $1,500. So you need to bring that to court so you can pay it, so you won't be in arrears, because you'll be constantly trying to catch up. And if you fall behind too far, and you do have another family per se or other children, you will never see a tax return until you catch up.
God dang.
So the system is wicked, but it can work both ways, because we have single fathers out here raising children and getting child support from the mothers. So it works both ways, but it's a little tighter for men, in my opinion, because I'm a man. So I only seen it from that perspective. So for me, I tell any young guy, if you're not ready for the whole thing, protect yourself, protect that young lady, and allow yourself to grow into being the man that you need to be for yourself, so you can be a better father for your children.
Yeah, that's a big thing right there.
So and that young lady as well, if you know you're not going to have a long-term relationship with that young man, you need to protect yourself as well. I understand people fall in love, passion happens, human nature takes over, but we also have to think above our waist. And that's how a lot of us get jammed up with people we don't want to be with. And we wind up having these kids, and it's like, I hate her.
Stinky lady.
Right. Or, I can't stand his ass. Or she just go away somewhere. But unfortunately, he can't or she can't, because you created something that never wanted to be here, didn't know it was going to be here. And now y'all have to be cordial and respectful to each other, so that child can be somewhat balanced. Because the way this world is set up, they still gonna have trials and tribulations.
So,
but with the child support thing, it's hectic, because I know some people that was paying some hefty totes because of their earning potential. And
so question, from the breakup, because it had to be a breakup. I'm trying to think how to word this question. From the breakup to child support, was it a cordial breakup where y'all just say it's over, I'm done, or was it I'm gonna run you over with my car?
So with me, I was that young man who was like the Biggie song, I don't chase him, I replace him. So I allowed my ego to make a lot of the judgment calls, and I can honestly say, and for me, being immature and not understanding how to be vulnerable as a man, had me out there doing things that I shouldn't have been doing. And so she decided we needed to go our separate ways. So instead of me giving her space and then trying to come back and have a grown folk conversation with her, I just said, all right, fuck it, I'm done. All right, then, whatever.
Which most of us men gonna do.
Right. So I'm getting it mixed up, my bad. My oldest daughter, I moved her into our own place. We started a family union. And I always told her, because my name could go on the lease, because it was, the way our apartment was set up, it was income based. And with me on it, it would have made
her rent go up.
Right. So I said, but if you ever call the police on me or try to put me out for no apparent reason, I didn't put my hands on you, I didn't threaten children, I wasn't out, if I wasn't out there, just disrespecting you, I'm gone. So she did it. She called my bluff, listening to our aunt, who was single, who couldn't keep a man, who was actually dealing with a married man. So she listened to her, she did it, I left. Now, me being single at this point, I just took care of my daughter. I never even tried to rekindle anything with her. And I possibly could have. But I never needed anyone to tell me, this is what you need to do. So school time came around. I bought all the school clothes. She only had to buy school supplies. I did what I was supposed to do, but it was in turn, she still had this animosity towards me because I wasn't your typical baby daddy.
Okay.
I wasn't, well, you better not have nobody around my kids, da da da. Okay, go live your life and leave me alone.
Makes sense.
That's basically how I was. And she didn't like that.
Mm-hmm.
Like, she thought I was going to chase her. And I didn't. So for a while, every time we talked to each other, we were, so this older guy, he like, are y'all still together? I'm like, no. So why are you on the phone talking to her like like y'all together? You don't even have to have a conversation with her. Mm-hmm. Once she started getting flipping the lip, you can just hang up.
Yeah, we have options.
Right. So I started doing that. By this time, she started dating this other guy, but it was funny because they were together. One day I came past her mom's house, and I'm like, that was quick. I'm like, really? Okay, that's fine. Because I got something for you too. Because I went and got my daughter, picked her up. I went out with the girlfriend, the young lady I started dating, and then we all came back to drop her off. And I don't chase them, I replace them. Her whole demeanor changed towards me at that point. Oh yeah, you what you? So I just was like, I'm just gonna leave that alone. But did I slide back? Yes. Mm-hmm. I mean,
it's a comfort zone.
It was history. Plus, we had been together for 5 years, so it was history. She snuck away. I mean, I was single, but she snuck away. I mean, I didn't have to sneak away. I lived by myself. So it was times that we did those things, but then I realized that it's not going away, and I don't really need all that drama in my life because I don't want to have to put my hands on that dude. Because I had to say something to him before because I came to the house right before school, like I told you. I bought the school clothes, and I always, because I found out she wasn't working, I said, do I need to buy everything? School supplies, school. That way I understand what I have to do as far as my money. He comes out, anything you gotta say to me, anything you gotta say to her, you can say to me. I ain't gotta say nothing to you because first of all, that's not your child. Her last name is Williams. I don't have to say nothing to you. And she happened to be at her mom's house. And her mom lifted up the window like, who is you talking to? She wasn't talking to me. She was talking to him. Matter of fact, she told him to get out her house. And she said, you come in and talk to her about getting your daughter's school supplies and school stuff. And he need to mind his business. I don't like him anyway.
That's the subject too of its own.
Yes, it is.
As how the new man can be integrated into the ex-man, the baby father's relationship. Because if the guy's gonna be there, they need to be cordial for the child. Not they can hate each other, but they need to be cordial for that child. You know what I mean?
So it was funny because after that, I had no more words with him. Well, one, he got locked up, but that was besides the point. But with me, my daughter, my oldest daughter, like verbally, I could make her cry. That's what I never had to put my hands on my daughter. I could just talk to her and make her understand that I am your father, I am God in your world. So in your world, the only man you have to really concede to is me. So if anybody ever give you any issues, just let me know and I'll deal with it. But the child support issue came up when she decided I want to live in a better area.
Okay.
Living on Park Heights.
Really not.
I'm all for it. You want to move around this town? Yes. I'm all for it. So my oldest daughter was the apple of my eye. She still is actually at 27 years old. She still is.
Yeah, at first you're gonna be that for hair spot.
So I recently saw her around Thanksgiving, and it's like two different girls. So with me, I never mind paying child support. If I had to pay daycare, I paid daycare. Whatever I had to do to make sure my daughter was straight, because I grew up as a child that didn't want for anything. Okay. So I'm not going to not do the same for my own children. like now that they grown, even if they call me now, like, Dad, I need. I'm like, really? but
exactly.
I was
Dad
still
gonna make it happen.
Well, I'm gonna make it happen. And I used to do a lot of sacrificing from myself. Like, you know, when I wanted new stuff, I wouldn't buy it because it's like, if I go out and buy these Air Force Ones, these jeans, these shirts, and then I get that phone call, like, Dad, I need such and such and such, especially if it came from school. And I'm like, damn, I gotta spend the money. So now I'm like, I'm gonna take the stuff back so I
can get this money.
So I had became accustomed to not buying myself stuff first until I found out if my daughters needed what my daughters needed. But once my youngest daughter came, I was like, she's 19 now, so I was 30. You would think I would have been a little more mature. I really wasn't.
Hey, age ain't nothing but a number.
Right. So I really wasn't. And then me and her split up, and we split up over a number of reasons of revolving around my daughter. And it was because she didn't raise her oldest two. Her aunt and uncle did. She wanted to raise this one the way she saw fit without my input. So we beefed a lot. And yeah, I was still out there. I ain't even gonna lie to you. I was still out there doing my thing, but I always took care of home. So,
you know, you said something that's important that comes apart into how I vision child support coming. You said you grew up not wanting nothing. So in your mind, that's how a child's supposed to be.
Right.
Versus daughter's mother, she didn't raise her to somebody else, which means there was a disconnect in parenthood with her.
Right.
So when you got two different opinions of child support or child raising, it's gonna be some conflict. So it's like almost like you said earlier, before you sleep with have sex or even have a child with a woman, you got to make sure y'all theories are in line.
And for you saying that, we had that conversation.
Oh wow!
So the conversation was, since she was 4 years older than me, and like she said, she had a girl and a boy. So she was like, I'm not gonna have any more children. I don't want any more children. So in my mind, we're okay. Even if it happens, we're not gonna have any children.
Yeah, because you already made that statement.
We already had that conversation, and we've had it prior to her getting pregnant. We had it several other times. So by the time I found out she was pregnant, she was 4 months pregnant.
Whoa.
So it was nothing we could do anyway.
Enough, yeah.
So when she didn't even tell me first. She went and she talked a conversation with her mom.
Oh wow.
And then she came back and got in the car and we were driving and she's like, I'm pregnant. Okay. So I'm thinking she's just recently pregnant, and then she tells me,
nah, this old news.
Yeah, this is 4 months. I'm 4 months pregnant. I'm like, huh? How are you 4 months? You just found out? And she wouldn't, she asked the question, but it was so vague that I knew she knew prior to. So
wow.
So at that point it was like, okay, fine, you're pregnant, let me go get another job. And that's how I've always been. But we broke up. She asked me to leave, I left. So it was a total disconnect with this child versus my oldest.
Okay.
Because with my oldest, I lived in the house from day one.
So make a huge difference.
Right, it made a day. So we had a bond. With my youngest, I would see her every now and then because now I'm working. I got 2 children. I got a 7-year-old and then I got an infant. So now I'm working, and we as men, we still get pulled in so many directions that sometimes we don't have enough time for ourselves. So if we try and pay child support and then the mother's like, well, you don't spend no time with her, and I'm like, well, you really can't argue with them because it's the truth. So I failed on that part. But I didn't fail on the financial part. I failed on
the connection, relationship.
The relationship part.
Which is sometimes more important than money.
So, like I said, you would think I would have been more mature by the time I had my second child, but I wasn't. My mind frame, and as I was taught, a man is supposed to provide.
Mm-hmm.
But they never explain to you about the emotional part of being a father.
Mm-hmm.
They always, it's like the emotional part is not existent for a man. So when you are taught that you put on your boots, go to work, pay the bills.
Yeah.
Put on your boots, go to work, pay the bills. But as I've gotten older and going to therapy, because I have also childhood traumas that I am working my way through at 49. I understand now that we can be vulnerable and still be men.
Yeah, which is something that I think all men struggle with. One, like you said, going to therapy, because going to therapy has to admit that you're broken in some aspect.
Exactly.
And being vulnerable as a man, we see vulnerability as a bad asset because we can't be vulnerable in the street. We can't be vulnerable. But like you said, in some aspects, vulnerability is needed to build a relationship with your daughters, the wife, anybody. You know.
And we don't understand. We don't also understand. We actually be vulnerable and don't even realize it when we with our homeboys.
Yeah. Mm-hmm.
So the child support, it's a stressor, because at one point my oldest daughter thought I was lying about paying it.
Wow.
Because I'm thinking it still come in check form. See, I'm old school. I'm thinking it out. So one of my homegirls was like, "No, I don't come in no check. It's on the card."
I didn't know that either.
It come on the card.
It's like almost like food stamps.
Yeah, it come on the card. So I'm like, well, damn, no wonder she don't see it.
Okay.
So me being who I am, I went down to the child support office, got a complete printout of all my payments, along with my pay stubs, and I said, "Here, look, this is what I pay every 2 weeks for you." On my pay stub, I showed her, this is you at the top, and this is your sister at the bottom. I said, so I don't know what conversations you're gonna have with your mom, but here it is.
Here's the proof in the pudding.
Here's the proof. I've always told you I will never not take care of you. I said, if you ever need me, just call me. But as my daughters got older, especially my oldest, they went from us being like this, next thing I know, we're like this. And I've talked to numerous men who have daughters, and they're like, oh yeah, I'm going to do the same thing. I'm like, really? One guy said, yeah, eventually my daughter came back around. I'm like, well, my daughter's 27 now, so when is she coming back around? So, but I know I still hold something in her, because like I said, I seen her on Thanksgiving, I had a conversation with her. She tried to walk past me.
Wow.
So I had to remind her who I was. And I never raised my voice at her, but my tone changed.
And they recognize that authority.
Right. So when my tone changed, she understood I was not playing with her. And she stood there and we had a conversation. And I said, I text you, I instant message you, I do all that. I don't get nothing from you. I said, you know why you don't get nothing from me? Because you keep changing your phone number. I said, and it said that I'm your father and I have to get your phone number from my mother. You call my mother all the time, but you don't call me.
Wow.
And I never understood. And I always asked them, I said, look, since you were young, I always told you, if you ever have something to say to me, you have an open door to say whatever you want in a respectful manner. That's it.
So have y'all ever gone to therapy to see what that issue is?
I can't even, I've been texting her since Thanksgiving.
Wow.
And no response. So what I found out was the young dude that came to my mom's house for Thanksgiving, I know who he is.
Okay.
And first she had this little smart tone and I almost grabbed her. And I asked her, why are you dealing with dudes like that? She's like, dudes like what? Watch your tone. He's different. I said, okay. How is he different if you're hanging out with the dudes? And I know what the dudes
with
do.
the same dudes.
And then I found, and she couldn't answer it. So then I found out the dude I know that he run with is looking for him.
Oh, which is not good.
So of course, you know, I had to make the phone call. Go, the dude is with my child. He go, that's for real? That's your daughter? I'm like, yeah, that's my daughter. He like, oh, all right, she be safe. Don't worry about it. So they eventually caught up with dude after he left church.
Oh wow.
Yeah, they caught. And I know my child. She has a mouth like a mother. So I'm like, did she say anything? She said she tried to, and I reminded her who you was, and she walked away. Yeah, but me paying child support, it wasn't even a big deal to me. I looked at it as like, I can't miss what I ain't had.
Yeah.
Because if you understand child support in itself, the mathematics, you'll understand that it comes off the top before they even tax your money.
So actually, it might. So with
And
that being said,
it put you in a lower tax bracket.
You actually answered my question.
Yeah, it put you in a lower tax bracket. So, like with us, the overtime that we do, we can easily get $85,000, $100,000. But if you paying child support,
$30,000.
Right, if you paying, let's say $500 a month. It's 12 months. You paying
over $6-7 grand.
Right. So you done bust that $100,000 down to $94,000.
Yeah.
You're in a different. You back down to the lower tax bracket. True, it's unfair that it's not taxable income because you done made it. But since they take it off the top, you can't. It's not taxable, which is unfair to a man because the woman actually can put that on her taxes as income.
Wow.
So because it's income. It is actually
so
income
you go
for her.
From here, you go from the bottom to the top.
So even though she might, let's say she has a base salary of $47,000, she now with that extra $6,000 a year, she's at $53,000 a year.
You know, applications does say, do you have extra income like alimony, child support? It do.
It do.
Damn.
So we as men do in this aspect of the court system as well as other stuff get the short end of the stick, because we still have some old school judges that believe in the sanctity of marriage.
Yes.
Which I have no problem with them, but don't bring your personal business
into this courtroom.
In this courtroom, because I've known dudes who come in with a file.
Wow. Yeah.
January through December, they got every receipt that they spent, and the judge say, "Oh, they was gifts," and still tax them. So yeah, do we get the short end of the stick? Yes. Our man Simpkins do have a point, but it is some positives in paying child support because it, in a sense, it gives you some peace because you know I ain't got to get online to pay it. I ain't got to mail the money order. I ain't got to take off from work.
And your child is getting some support.
Yep, that's the positive in the whole thing. Every 2 weeks, you know, $300, $350, your child is covered. Either it's the daycare, they need jeans, they need school uniforms because they done grew 2 inches. Now they got high waters on. Their feet done grew another inch.
From 7 to a 9.
Right. And you're like, wait a minute, this was 30 days ago. So, because I have a 14-year-old boy and he's 6 feet tall.
Jeez.
And we just had to buy him new pants.
Jeez. Question. So with your youngest and your older daughter, how are their relationship?
So one day I did take them and we went out and I explained to them, y'all all y'all got.
Pretty much.
If I disappear today or tomorrow, y'all still sisters. And y'all need to build a relationship between y'all. I have nothing to do with y'all relationship. My relationship with each of y'all as y'all father is that. But y'all bond should be between y'all two, and y'all get to know each other and what y'all like, what y'all don't like. Hang out together, spend time together. Yeah, it's a 7-year age difference, but it's cool. Y'all can, once she become 8, y'all can go hang out. So for a while it materialized. They called each other, they talked to each other. I don't know if they spent time together because, like I said,
One each other.
build your own relationship with each other. Because I can build a relationship with either one of y'all because y'all my daughters, and together we'll have a relationship. So as they got older, it's like they picked up a lot of habits of mine because I have a tendency to
fall
forget.
back.
Yeah,
Okay.
I would fall back from everything. You know, you work with my cousin Bailey, and he'll contest to that. Like sometimes it's like people gotta ask where I'm at.
But that's a good thing because sometimes we need some mental space to depressurize.
Right. So, and dealing with my space is because of the relationships I didn't have with my father's side of the family.
Okay.
So you'll hear me from time to time say, you know, my father's side of the family kind of mean they ain't shit. Because that's how I feel.
Yeah.
And even though me and Bailey and another uncle of mine, we were like three amigos, but it's like me and Bailey can always talk like we've seen each other the day before, so that's not a problem because we still have that bond.
Okay.
And so the uncle that's a year younger than me, we could talk like we just seen each other the day before. So, but it's things that played a big role in how I became who I am. And I had uncles, military, police, and they took care of their children. So I seen that. Now me on the other hand, I see what they did with their children, but their oldest brother, total opposite. He was the total opposite. And true, he has some issues. My dad has some issues. I love my dad, but he has issues, and he never had an opportunity to be able to sit down and work through his issues. You know, he saw what my great uncles did, but they were working with him. So his sense of manhood was what they did outside the home. Now,
which unfortunately is
what he followed. And with my mom, he just for the first 5 years he was a great dad. I was with him every day. Mom worked, he did. Okay. Go figure. So it's funny because I'm the opposite of him. Like I go to work. Like I can't sit home for long periods of time.
Leave. I can't. It's
so
boring.
For me, I just decided I'm not going to be him. And the one time I was him, I made that mistake, and I heard them things go clang, and it was like, oh.
Yeah.
So this episode is about child support. We getting a whole different.
No, but it all ties into my sense of how we end up at child support. As far as men, we know that women can be petty, but I think far as men, when we don't have a solid understanding of what a man is, how to do certain things, then like you said, when we meet, our choice of women spins us to a woman who won't be petty. But I also think when you have a solid understanding of who you are, you tied to a good support system. Like I know my grandfather built this house, well, the house that was here before my mother's house in the back. My grandfather also bought the property that's over there. He bought the property over there. They lived on Ison Street. He made sure all his kids worked. I got that from my stepfather. I mean, from my grandfather. When I look at my father, he had his issues, but when you ask anybody today, he worked. He didn't beg nobody. So when you have a sense of that, yeah, we're gonna deal with the chick on the side, but your ultimate choice in women is gonna be one where it is no child support. You either get married or just break up, but there is no child support. So I think the foundation of men leads right into the issue of child support.
So with me, with my youngest, she was upset. She did it out of spite. So it was more so same thing. You call me, your daughter need this. All right, no problem. I got it. All right, so, but after a while, she seemed like she became. I think a lot had to do with me doing what I did.
Mm-hmm.
I stepped out of the relationship, so it changed her mindset when she looked at me. So
Okay.
she even made a comment that dude in jail was a better father than I was.
Jeez.
So my mom heard that.
Mm-hmm.
My mom went off.
I would say moms ain't like, don't talk to my baby.
Yeah, so my mom went off, and of course I was not that guy who was chasing behind no female. I can replace you. I don't really need to deal with you. So my mom went off and told, like she told my oldest daughter, mom, because she started to try to keep my daughter away from me. Like, you know, I go get her and I knock on the door and my daughter, I can hear my daughter in the house. My daddy at the door, get away from the door. Don't.
Wow.
So of course I would go. If I had anything for her, I would go take it to our mama's house. Blah blah blah. My mom would be like, "Why did you drop your clothes off here?" Because she won't open the door.
Wow.
And she would call around there and cuss our own daughter out. But so it became that type. And my mom got a hold of my oldest daughter, mom, at her house, and she sat her down. She talked to her, and she said, "You know, my son is a healthy young man.
Mm-hmm.
There's nothing wrong with him physically or anything like that. So he can have other children. So if you want to constantly keep her away from him, don't get upset when you have another child and it happened to be a girl." And that's what happened. And that's what happened. And you saw all of a sudden, "Oh, when you come to get your daughter?" So I okay, I'm on my way.
Yeah.
So we have a lot to do with how we're treated by the mother of our children as well. Now, we all were adults about everything that we did. We wouldn't have these issues, but since we're not,
there's something waiting for you.
Yeah, so if we go out and cheat on her and mistreat her and disrespect her, she's gonna be upset. She's gonna be mad. She's gonna find a way to get back at you. And us as men, we love our children, and that is the most vulnerable part of us that will affect us more than you stealing our car. If you, give up your car.
Too much of anything to me, just don't touch my children.
Right. You can take my car, and I'll catch a can. Just let me have my children. And that's how she started to get back at me, and that's how the youngest daughter mother got back at me. I couldn't really spend time with her, but then as she got older and I started talking to her and she started talking to me, and I was always wanting to take them out on daughter daddy dates. All of a sudden it was like they started pulling back away from me, and then I had to explain to them. I said, you have to deal with your father on your own accord. You dealing with me through somebody else's eyes, you're gonna always look at me like they look at me, and you'll never know the real me. Because you don't know me, you won't sit down and talk to me. So my youngest started, and then she became older, and then it was same thing. And I was like, for y'all not to be around your grandfather, y'all act just like him.
It's funny because, like you said, how, and I hear other dudes talking about different things. It's almost like you have to kind of, I don't want to say force a relationship on your kids, but you got to be willing to say, I'm here. Like I know that some guys will just say, all right, screw it. But I really think you're doing an injustice to your kids.
And yourself.
And yourself, because you deprive yourself from those growing up stages. I remember when mine were playing school in the basement. I remember their first boyfriend, I remember all that. So as a father, that stuff, you're hurting yourself. Because now, when they see you on the street, whatever. You like, I'm your father. No, you're not. You that man and my mother had a baby by. And I think that's how a lot of women get spun in a different direction because of that, don't have a relationship with their fathers. I think, like, I also like what you were saying too, that even though there was some issues, you took responsibility for what you did in the relationship.
Right.
Whether it was good or bad. I think that's a major part for men is forget about what the woman did. What part did you play in this relationship falling apart.
Yep.
You know, because once you figure out that, you probably can understand why she did what she did. You know, and that's what I was trying to get people to understand with the first episode. Yeah, child support is there. It has its good and bad, but as men, some of that might have been our fault. How we ended. Now, there's always the dude who just, the chick was petty. We didn't know she was going to be petty until we broke up. But I definitely like how you said, this is what I did wrong. Even with your daughters. I pushed back a little bit, but now I realize, oh man, let me go get that. And you're willing to wait until they realize, oh, I really do need my dad. Other than, hey, dad, I need some gas money. Or, hey, dad, I really need that connection with my dad. You know, and that's a good thing. Let me ask this question. How important is it to somewhat remain cordial with the baby mother for the sake of the kids?
Well, when they're younger,
Mm-hmm.
when they really can't explain themselves, it's very important to be able to have a conversation with the mother of your children, because that's the only way you can get the day-to-day news.
Okay.
Because if you're not an in-house dad, then you have to get day-to-day news from their mother.
Their mother, okay.
So, case in point, as my daughter got older, of course, she was interested in boys. I knew that because I had people who saw her.
Mm.
She didn't realize it.
The eye in the sky.
Right. So, particular day, I think she took my daughter's phone from her and she looked through her phone and saw she had some very derogatory words against her mother.
Okay.
So her mother then calls me and you need to have a conversation with your daughter. She being real disrespectful on the phone, and she just comes out, and that's why she had sex with this boy.
Whoa.
Oh.
Mm-hmm. You can't just slide over that.
Whoa. So the only reason you telling me this is because she pissed you off.
Mm-hmm. You should have told me about the sex part when it happened. Mm-hmm.
But I myself, like, well, that's nothing I can do about her, how she feel about how she feels about you.
Mm-hmm.
That's not my place to correct her on that.
You need to discuss that.
That's your discussion.
Mm-hmm.
But I will discuss her about her and boys and all that stuff. And I did. I had a casual conversation with her about protection and what it all involved. And I asked her why she do it, and she explained to me everything. And I was like, she didn't like it. So when she said she didn't like it, I was like, okay, that's typical.
Mm-hmm.
Young female.
Because don't nobody know what they're doing.
But then I thought about it. I'm like, and I asked her, I said, what you doing again? She said, no. So months went by, and of course, at this time, we had a little relationship.
Mm-hmm.
We called. Like, I had pictures on my phone where we was out at Applebee's having lunch together and everything. And it's still clicking in my mind, like, she said she'll never do it again. So I was doing security detail. She comes in looking like Queen Latifah from Set It Off.
Wow. There's a shift in atmosphere.
So, hey, what you gonna play basketball or something? So she came for money. She wanted to go out with her little girlfriends to the movies and stuff like that.
Mm-hmm.
Gave her some money and she left. So the store manager lived up the street from the house she hung out at. That's how I knew where she was.
Wow.
But she didn't know that. So I pulled up on her one day. I said, you gotta go to your grandma. This right here on Jefferson Street. So she left. And my daughter then actually started dating dudes, young ladies. But because our prom came up, our senior prom came up, and I was like, all right, when I'm gonna meet the dude that you taking to the prom? She said, taking a dude? I'm not taking no dude to the prom. Oh,
you want your home?
Oh, okay. She said, I'm my brother going, I'm taking your, okay. Yeah.
Wow.
So I explained to her, I said, look, if the lifestyle you're going to lead is that's what you're going to do, that's fine. Because at the end of the day, you still my daughter. I don't care who you date, as long as they treat me right.
Facts.
So I met one young lady. She didn't even introduce her as a girlfriend, which is crazy because I was like, and I knew she was not comfortable around me with it because the young lady sat on this side, she sat right here.
Wow.
And my sister was right here. So I knew she was. So I didn't press the issue or none of that. I didn't say anything. I just introduced myself to the young lady. My oldest daughter is now dating a guy again.
She ain't like that either.
No, they still dating. I know the young dude.
No, I'm talking about the lady. The girlfriend didn't.
That when she didn't introduce her as her girlfriend, she had that problem with it.
Wow. Yeah.
So I keep tabs on my daughters. They don't really like picking up the phone and calling their dad. Like, it's funny because my stepson, he buys me birthday gifts and Father's Day gifts.
Wow.
And I'm saying to myself, well, shoot, I only known this young man for 9 years.
Wow.
I know them all their life.
And for a minute, that was all they knew.
And I'm thinking to myself, he even broke down, spent his own money and bought me a Victor watch. Which and it's funny because I didn't tell him. He bought the exact watch that I wanted.
Oh, wow. Wow.
His mother didn't even know. It was like, because I wanted a gold face watch with a blue band. And he got me a Victor watch exactly like I wanted it. And I'm saying, and she always said, for him not to be your biological son, y'all move the same way. And I'm like, well, kindred spirits always do. So right now, I'm dealing with him and his emotional transition into a young man. Because like I said, he just turned 14. And
it's starting to smell itself a little bit.
He actually, no, he's very quiet,
secluded. Cool. That's good.
Secluded type of young man. And he has some issues dealing with his biological father. Okay. So that's how we connect.
Because y'all come from the same background.
Right. So, and then he lost her mother.
Oh, wow.
So I lost my mother's mother.
Man, so y'all vibing together.
Right. And then his father is distant. My father is distant. So it was like, it's almost like we were meant to meet. So I'm still learning how to be vulnerable with someone else's child. Yeah. Because it's hard.
I can see that because there's not really a connection there.
Right. So it's a connection because I can have a conversation with him. Like, we used to have conversations going to the barbershop. And I took him to the barbershop. And the guy she used to date prior to me was in his life when he was 2. And he's still around. And I never had an issue with me. He always had an issue with me. Wow. And it's funny because I always say that man should sit down and talk and get a better understanding that her is off. Yeah. She's out your equations. Your mathematics has nothing to do with hers. Your mathematics deals with him and him only. So the young man, my stepson, is now going through that issue with him. Oh, well, I can't do this. I might be able to do this. I might be. He already been through that with his biological dad. Yeah,
so you traumatize him even more.
So,
God dang.
Right, so I look at it like, and he cusses him out. That's the problem. That's the funny part. Why you acting like you're such a bitch? And this is the 13-year-old talking to a grown.
Wow. It's inappropriate, but if he can see it, that means there's something wrong with you.
Right, so I personally, I tell him, look, you can express how you feel to him without cussing him and disrespecting. You can always tell people how you feel. You don't have to be mad about it. You don't have to upset yourself to tell somebody else about themselves how you feel. Let them get upset. And when you tell them the truth about how you feel about what they did to you. But me, myself, it took a lot for me to get to this point. I never thought I would be the one that says or recommend men go to therapy. And when I said, because you know how we are, we grew up, you better not cry.
You better not,
You
exactly.
better not cry. You better, especially better probably not cry in front of no female.
Football and baseball and wrestling.
That's it.
Yeah.
And that's all the sports we played.
Mm-hmm.
So I went to therapy with her the first time. She went because of her trauma she went through, losing her dad and mom. So, and then almost losing me in between that. Because I had pneumonia in 2016, 17, and I went out, passed out. So she went through a lot. And then me being still, you would think, at 40 years old, I would be more mature. But I wasn't.
Yeah.
So not knowing how to be consistently vulnerable. Because we can be vulnerable all the way up until we get what we want.
Yeah.
And then it's like
you revert back to what was comfortable.
Right. Yeah. And that's what the therapist always say. And she would explain to her, like, when he does that, it's because he's comfortable with it. He's been doing it all his life. He has to be able to, we as men have to be able to come into a comfort zone with the woman that we with. Now, we can have that loving, supportive mom and still have vulnerability issues.
Yeah.
Because some mothers are over.
Yeah.
And then some others are, boy, you better stop you. She just as hard as having your dad around.
Exactly.
So we as men get all our attitudes, especially if we grew up in a single mom, with a single mom. We get everything from them. So what helped me somewhat balance out is on my dad's side, I had all these uncles.
Okay. Yeah, I had my mother sent me uncles, and yes,
I had all these uncles that somewhat balanced me out, but they weren't the best role models at times.
They was with the best you had at that moment.
Exactly, because they worked, they provided for their families.
Yeah.
They were respectful, they was family oriented. When we had family gatherings, it was family.
Yeah.
You know what I'm saying? So
it's still the biggest part of what manhood was.
Right. So being vulnerable doesn't make you weak. It actually makes you a stronger man. And when we all get to understand that being vulnerable is a strength, it's not a weakness, then we'll have better relationships with our partners, our mothers, our sisters, our brothers, our co-workers, because we'll understand that we don't have to be volatile or disgruntled or upset in speaking on how we feel. It's just like, hey, Edward, you was being real disrespectful the other day, and I really don't understand that. And it really bothered me and hurt my feelings, Brian. I didn't expect that from you.
Exactly.
That's being vulnerable.
Exactly.
And we do that all the time with our homeboys.
Yes. Yeah. Yeah.
But when it comes to our woman says, so what do you need from me? I don't need nothing. I'm good.
Yes.
I'm good.
I agree.
No, I'm damn well. I need a hug.
Yeah.
I need you to hold
I just need you to have a meal or something. You know, I had a bad day, have my drink and my cigar when I get home.
Yeah. Or I just need a hug. I just need to lay my head in your lap. And you just rub my head and let me take a 15-minute nap.
Without judging me for being vulnerable.
And that's the one thing that we deal with. And it's funny because I see every nationality of man going through the same issue.
It's universal.
It has nothing to do with ethnicity. It has everything to just with being a man in America. And then I'm starting to see it. Foreign men are having these same issues because they grew up in a custom. So people think men just, we don't care. We have a nonchalant attitude. I said people don't understand that's instilled in us.
Yeah.
Because it's instilled in us to always have our armor on. And Jason Wilson, he wrote this book called Cry Like a Man. And it wasn't a how-to book. It was just a story about his life growing up. And if you read the book,